gas and dust. Who wouldn't want to witness such a thing up close? You, if you want to avoid one of the deadliest places in the universe, because it turns out the birth of planets can be lethal. This is LKCA-15. It's a star 450 light years away, similar in mass to our sun. A protoplanetary disk of dust and gas surrounds it, and in it, new planets are being born.
When planets are first forming, there's a disk of material around the star when it's very young. And the planets basically form from all this debris. Stuff hits and sticks together, and it grows bigger and bigger and bigger, and then its gravity draws material in. Planet formation is like a demolition derby. There are a lot of similarities. In a derby, the cars are racing around a track, going around in circles at different speeds. Well, it's the same thing with planets. The material is orbiting the sun. It's going around, and they're all going at different speeds, at different angles, different trajectories. Sometimes this material collides, and you get a bigger object left over. And that's how planets grow. That's how they form.
From afar, it looks beautiful. But venture up close, and you'll be trapped in a vortex of speeding material.
The material, the dust, the grains of sand, even the bigger rocks, are moving at orbital speeds around this proto-star. So we're talking about 10, 15, 20 miles per second.
You might think that the large rocks are the most dangerous. But in space, that's not necessarily the case.
The bigger rocks can be seen, can be tracked. Things this big can be tracked in space. But anything that's about this big is hard to find in space. You don't know what's coming.
So while we're all fearing the big rock, if you're out in space, you better watch out for the small rock that's moving fast.
If a pebble the size of a BB pellet traveling 40,000 miles an hour hits Chuck, our crash test dummy, it's gonna cut right through him.
You know, there are rules in baseball that a batter has to wear a helmet because there's a baseball moving him at 100 miles an hour. If that hits him in the head, he's dead. Now imagine that baseball is being thrown 1,000 times faster, right? That would put a hole right through a batter's head. It wouldn't even slow down. That's how dangerous these things are.
The space around the star is jammed full of every size of debris.
Rocks are going to be spinning around, ricocheting off each other, colliding and sticking. It's a horrible, hostile environment for Chuck. He's going to be hit often and hard.
You're just going to see him get blown to bits.
Putting Chuck into a protoplanetary disk like that is like basically sticking a shotgun in front of him and pulling the trigger. There's just a huge amount of material moving at tremendous speeds, and it would hit him and just rip him to pieces.
So what if you decide to give a little peace and head to one of the quietest places in the universe, far from dangerous debris? Well, looks can be deceptive. Because visiting even one of the emptiest places in the cosmos can be a nightmare, where something thinner than an atom and light years long can cut you in little.
ready for stage number 4 of the U.S. Speed Tour East, Dallas, Texas, to Santa Fe, New Mexico.
There's not very much matter there. There's not that many galaxies. There's not much energy. We call these voids. Some of them are quite large. They're called supervoids.
One of these supervoids is 1.4 light-years across. The largest individual structure of unidentified body matter. This void has 20% less matter, 10,000 less galaxies than would be expected. That works to about 1,000 trillion stars, all missing. We are completely sure how the cosmic void formed. The layout of the galaxies was determined that the very start of the universe. So it makes sense to take a look at the Big Bang. Or more specifically, a big picture of the universe. It's just 450,000 years old. It's a snapshot of the cosmic molecular background, the pattern of God, black hole, and the Big Bang.
When you look at the maps of the molecular background, you see different colors, red and blue. Those aren't real colors. They're artificial colors that we put down to indicate.
And I'm gonna do a little finagling with the paint jobs for my vehicles, which you'll get to see here after this race.
Einstein's equation, E equals mc squared.
And now they are nearly in Santa Fe, ready to navigate its crooked streets between Pueblo-style adobe houses. Have fun.
But there's a problem. This matter comes in two forms. Regular matter and antimatter. We know what matter is. But what is antimatter?
Antimatter is not as mysterious as most people think it is. Antimatter is normal matter, but with opposite charge. So there are protons and there are antiprotons. Proton is the nucleus of hydrogen, and it's possible to have antiprotons. And an antiproton has the opposite charge of the proton.
On its own, antimatter isn't dangerous. But when it comes into contact with matter, well, that's a whole different ballgame.
In the end, what happens is if you have matter and antimatter, bring them together, they both annihilate each other and give themselves pure energy. It's the quintessential example of E equals mc squared, Einstein's famous equation. You can take the mass of one particle and the mass of another particle, and you can combine them. And since it's matter and antimatter, they produce pure energy.
The infinite universe was a battlefield of matter and antimatter annihilating each other in a frenzy of obliteration. Which raises a question. How is the universe made of matter? Why wasn't everything destroyed?
If there were equal amounts of matter and antimatter, they would have annihilated in the early universe, because matter particles can annihilate with antimatter particles, and all we'd be left with is pure radiation. What's amazing is that we live in a universe which, as far as we can see, just has particles of matter.
The only solution is that there must have been an imbalance between matter and antimatter in the early universe.
The universe was born with equal amounts of matter and antimatter, but for every billion particles of antimatter, you had a billion plus one particles of matter.
That tiny difference is enough to create the entire cosmos. One guy matter. So this is
Because, of course, it annihilates matter. So people suddenly think that if a particle of antimatter came in this room, what it would do would ultimately annihilate a particle of matter. But big deal. It's an elementary particle. The amount of energy that we release is incredibly small.
So we are safe. If there's only a little antimatter. But back in the early universe, it was a completely different story. There was loads of the stuff. If Chuck wanders into a cloud of antimatter, it would be game over.
Well, what happened at the time, if Chuck were immersed in that environment of that much antimatter, then ultimately every particle in his body would interact with an antiparticle, turning into pure radiation, and Chuck would go out poof in a massive light. Chuck would turn into a light beam.
We've taken a tour of the absolute worst places to be and the worst things to see in the universe.
There are so many things in our universe that sound like science fiction, but it's really based off of real science.
Everything out there can kill you. Dust can kill you. Stars exploding, the heat from stars, gravity from black holes, radiation, all this stuff is very dangerous. You can say, hey, isn't it safer to stay on Earth? But you know what? Ships are safe in the harbor, but that's not what ships are for.
With all these dangers lurking in space, I'm happy to be right here on Earth. That is, unless the aliens show up with their spaceship, in which case I'm out of here.
dangerous places, we wouldn't be here without them. Our universe only exists because matter defeated antimatter in the annihilation of the Big Bang. We are only here because a supernova blew up and spread materials that built planets and us. So the universe gives, and the universe takes.
Space may seem like a very scary place, but then you have to consider that we wouldn't even be here but not for supernovae. So although these things seem outside the realm of our experience, they really are just how we live afterwards.
3.7 billion years ago, early life was on the brink of extinction. Colossal earthquakes, ferocious climate change, and total atmospheric collapse have turned paradise into hell. But this isn't Earth, it's Mars, and this is the violent history of perhaps the first life forms in our solar system. Could these Martians still exist today? Could they even be living among us? Scientists suspect that life may once have thrived on Mars. That the barren world we see today swarmed with Martians long ago.
If I had to bet something incredibly valuable, if I had to bet my car on whether or not there's life on Mars or evidence of past life on Mars, I'd take that bet.
The building blocks for life are widespread in the universe, and early Mars would have been the perfect place to pool these ingredients together.
If you had a recipe book of everything you need for life, you'd have things like water, organic chemistry, a stable surface, thick atmosphere. Well, Mars had all of those. Mars satisfies every specific requirement for letting life get started.
Life on Mars may have been inevitable, and we've sent a robot army to hunt for signs of it. Our rovers, landers, and satellites haven't found life yet, but they have found evidence of something extraordinary. Mars was the victim of a devastating series of extinction-level events that rocked the red planet to its core, leading us to wonder if life could have started over multiple times, with generation after generation of Martians rising and falling through Mars's violent history. It seems likely that the first genesis of life could have occurred very early on in Mars's history, just as soon as the crust was cool enough to give it a solid foothold. The secret to this early life would have been a crucial ingredient, one shared by the young Earth. Dry, harsh Mars, once an ocean.
For life to get started, it needs some carbon, energy source, it needs nutrients like nitrogen. Those are likely to be present on Mars, but present widespread on Earth. The essential requirement is really the liquid water.
Picture Mars, 4.5 billion years ago. Molten rock has cooled to form a solid crust, and water collects on the surface, forming primitive oceans. Rain clouds sweep across this steaming volcanic landscape, and in shallow pools of water, the Martians begin to emerge. But these first aliens are simpler than sci-fi would have us believe.
We're probably not talking about little green men or women or whoever walking around on the surface of Mars. We're talking about something probably much, much smaller and simpler. Single-celled life.
It would look familiar. It would look just like bacteria on Earth. Little tiny, round, and rod-shaped organisms.
If this generation of bacterial Martian life really did exist, it was the first life to grace our solar system, arising long before life took hold on Earth. Mars's small size would have given it a head
Mars is smaller than the Earth, it would have cooled a little bit faster than we did. So early on in the life of the solar system, Mars may have been more like Earth than Earth was at the time.
Let's go back 100 million years after the sun formed. The surface of early Earth is still a molten lake, but Martian life would be thriving on the smaller, cooler world. But these first Martians won't have long to enjoy their time in the sun. Inescapable death is already on its way in space. A cosmic bomb so huge it would completely alter the shape of the planet, leaving it lopsided, the northern hemisphere crushed.
Most planets are round, and that's just something you don't really give much thought to, but it turns out Mars isn't as round as it could be. The southern hemisphere, on average, has a higher elevation than the northern hemisphere. So in other words, if you were to start on the North Pole and walk all the way around to the South Pole, you'd be walking uphill essentially the whole time.
So we call this difference between the northern and the southern hemisphere, we call this the crustal dichotomy on Mars. And it's been one of the biggest mysteries of the planet. You know, it's the first thing that you see about it, and you say, well, how could this possibly have happened?
In 2008, scientists mapping the surface of Mars came up with an explanation for the massive dent in the planet shown in blue. This basin, the biggest in the solar system, had to be the result of a massive impact. Called the Borealis impact, it blasted out a crater 6,500 miles wide and 5 miles deep, big enough to swallow the entire United States with room to spare.
Something really big happened. In fact, the entire top half of the planet seemed to have practically been blown off. The only thing that can do that is a huge collision. And we're talking a collision with something the size of Pluto, perhaps.
You're talking about an impact that makes the dinosaur killer impact 65 million years ago look pretty much like a wet fire impact.
4.5 billion years ago, the early solar system was filled with asteroid-like leftovers from the planet-building process that created Mars and the Earth. One of these asteroids is huge, and is on a direct collision course with Mars. Any microscopic Martians have just seconds to live.
If this impact was happening today, and we were so unlucky as to be there to witness it, what you first would have seen is another moon in the sky. And then you would have looked back and seen, oh, it's getting bigger. As it came down, it would have filled the entire sky from horizon to horizon. And as it struck, the top would have still been well out into space.
The impactor is 1,200 miles across. And as it hit, the energy of the impact shakes Mars to its core. The entire planet wobbles like jelly.
As it came down, it would have been hitting into the surface of Mars as fast as a bullet out of a gun. And it would have slammed into the surface and sent a shockwave out that would have been bigger than any earthquake ever recorded. It would have been like a tsunami of rock coming out and tossing us out of the way.
The impact is catastrophic. It blows nearly half the planet's surface into space and turns what crust remains into a boiling lake of lava.
You can't have an impact of that scale without almost melting the planet. It's not literally a planet-breaking event, but it's a planet-melting event, and it is the sterilization of the planet at that point.
The surface of Mars is molten. Its atmosphere blown to space. The oceans boiling away. If Mars was home to the first generation of life in our solar system, that life is now gone. It will take the surface of Mars 50 million years to recover from the impact. But what sort of planet will emerge from the ashes? Compelling new evidence suggests that the conditions for life may have returned to Mars, but did life itself make a comeback?
This impact was only a blip in time, and there was possibilities for life and the planet to recover.
$4.5 billion years ago, an asteroid the size of Pluto slammed into the surface of infant Mars. It melted the surface of the planet, blew the atmosphere into space, and boiled away the oceans. If life had gotten a foothold on the planet, that life would have been completely exterminated. But some scientists believe this extinction could be brief, and that life could have started over from scratch.
One of the wonderful things to imagine is that there probably wasn't a single origin of life. It's not like it happened once and then everything just went from there. Maybe there were multiple times that life got started and went extinct.
10 million years after the Borealis impact, Mars has cooled enough for its surface to become solid once more. The planet has nearly all of the ingredients for life. But something's missing. The surface of Mars is dry, and without water, life can't start over, and the second generation of Martian can never arise.
As far as we know life, water is absolutely fundamentally important to life.
2004, NASA's Opportunity rover lands on Mars. Part of its mission is to search for evidence that water returned to Mars after the Borealis impact. It's not long before Opportunity stumbles across something strange on the surface of a fossilized sand dune. Bizarre, round, metallic rocks. These rocks are called blueberries, and they're an important find for planetary geologists like Janie Radabach, because fossilized sand dunes also exist on Earth, and Utah's petrified dunes are littered with blueberries too.
This is really exciting because we've seen the exact same thing on Mars.
Blueberries are nodules of iron oxide that form deep underground. Finding similar iron nodules on Mars is significant because they must have formed after the Borealis impact melted the planet. And they're created by water.
In order to form one of these little blueberries, there needs to be huge amounts of water flushing down through the fossil sand dunes. And as it does that, it carries with it all of the iron oxides around each sand grain. And just one tiny little one like this is maybe about an ounce of iron, maybe a little bit more. And in order to get an ounce of iron to concentrate into this blueberry, you need to have 1,000 gallons of water.
Blueberries form deep inside sandstone. But over thousands of years, wind erosion blows away the softer rock, leaving just the blueberries behind.
If we walk to the edge of this pile of blueberries, we can see the process by which they're actually eroding out of the rock. The blueberries right here are contained within this fossil sandstone layers. The winds are blowing in this direction down the layers, and they're actually eroding out the soft sandstones right here and leaving behind the very dense iron nodules. And as they pop themselves out of the rock, they roll down the hill and then collect right here in between layers. We know we've found conditions just like this on Mars. We have fossil sand dune layers. We also have blueberries all over the surface. So we know the same kinds of things had to have happened on Mars that have happened here. There has to be water flowing through the rock, gathering iron, and then there has to be a huge amount of wind to strip away the fossil sand dunes.
For blueberries to exist on the surface of Mars today, the red planet must have gotten its water and its atmosphere back after the catastrophic impact. With liquid water on the surface, the ingredients of life might have combined once again to create a second generation of Martians. But where did this water come from?
It could have been in the planet itself. Water is incredibly abundant. We know that there's water deep, deep, deep in the Earth's mantle. And so it's entirely possible that on Mars there was water so deep in the planet that even after this catastrophe, it came back up.
On the Earth, scientists have used the seismic waves of earthquakes to detect oceans of water chemically embedded in the minerals deep underground. A similar water source would have been hidden hundreds of miles below post-impact Mars, and volcanoes brought this water back to the surface.
One way for water to get from deep underneath the surface to the surface of the planet would be through geologic activities. Volcanoes, for example. We know that volcanoes spew out a lot of gases on Earth, including water vapor, and we see volcanoes on Mars.
Mars is home to the largest volcanoes in the solar system. The biggest of all, Olympus Mons, is over 3 times taller than Mount Everest. 4.49 billion years ago, volcanoes began to spew lava spiked with water into the atmosphere and create ferocious rainstorms that flood the surface of Mars. Over tens of thousands of years, Mars becomes a watery world once again, with the perfect conditions for a second generation of Martians to rise up.
It would seem that when you have a massive collision, like what happened to Mars, it would be game over for life. But there's something more complicated going on. Maybe that asteroid impact kicked off an entirely new cycle of life on Mars.
In theory, 4 billion years ago, there was life on 2 planets in the solar system. Because 140 million miles away, life on Earth had just begun. And thanks to Earth's stable climate, it would one day evolve into us. But the outlook for Mars was very different. Evidence from the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter suggests an icy apocalypse was about to strike. Winter was coming for Mars' second generation. The first life has arisen on the Earth. But on Mars, life may be starting out for a second.
It's possible that Mars had life before Earth did. It got wiped out and then got started again by rehydrating the planet.
A planetary collision has blown away Mars' atmosphere and oceans, along with any life. But giant volcanoes have brought water back to the surface from deep within the planet. This could have allowed a second generation of life to rise up, but these Martians are about to be tested to their limits by catastrophic climate change. In 2008, NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter peers deep below the surface of Mars. Its ground-penetrating instruments peer deep below the surface, aiming to unlock Mars' geological secrets. As it scans the equator, the orbiter spots something that has no right to be there. A vast underground glacier. 1 mile thick and 3 times the size of Los Angeles. Ice on this scale should only form at the frigid poles. The only explanation: Mars must have been tipped over, with its equator tilted away from the sun.
The tilt on Mars' axis has actually changed significantly over time, and in non-systematic ways. It just happens randomly that it will start moving. And so there are some models that suggest that Mars has actually been almost tipped over on its end.
Most planets wobble, and from time to time, they wobble so much that they tip over, leading to super winters.
If that happened here on Earth, Los Angeles could become the Arctic. Well, you can imagine something similar would happen on Mars, how drastic the change would be.
You're used to seeing the sun overhead, it's very warm, this covered with water, and as the planet starts going this way, the sun is not going to rise as high in the sky. Eventually, you may not see sunrise for half a year, and any water that's there is going to be frozen solid.
3.9 billion years ago, Mars may be tilted by as much as 80 degrees. Winter temperatures drop below minus 125 degrees Fahrenheit. And as the polar ice sheet spreads, Mars is frozen solid, and so are any potential Martians. The water that drives the biochemistry of life freezes inside the tiny bacteria. Ice crystals form and puncture the Martian cell walls until eventually they die. Every 120,000 years, the tilt of Mars changes as again and again the planet's chaotic wobble flips the Martians in and out of the deep freeze. Any second generation of life on Mars is left in tatters. Meanwhile, on Earth, our ancient ancestors have it easy. The Earth's wobble and its seasons stay relatively stable, and it's all thanks to our secret weapon, our oversized moon.
The interaction of our planet and the moon means that the axis of our rotation is very, very stable. The seasons return year after year, century after century, for billions of years.
The enormous mass exists as gravitational pull on the Earth, stabilizing the wobble of our planet and keeping our climate in check. Without the moon, the early Earth would have wobbled just as wildly as Mars, and our ancestors could have faced the same icy fate as the early Martians.
Mars doesn't have a big moon. It has two little tiny moons that don't really affect it much. So if the Martians were killed the first time by a giant impact, they may have been killed a second time by Mars itself, not being stable and flipping over and having catastrophic super winters and super summers, basically. Mega catastrophic climate change.
On Mars, the brutal conditions that drive Martian life to the edge of extinction may also have pushed it to adapt and evolve. We know this because on Earth, organisms known as extremophiles have evolved to live in the most severe of circumstances. From boiling hydrothermal vents to the deep freeze of glacial ice. When the going gets tough, life seems to get tougher. Perhaps the Martian super winters gave rise to a third generation of life, a super tough army of bugs, able to survive the harshest of climate swings.
What we see on Earth is that life evolves to occupy whatever niche it lives in. And that evolution takes time. So as the environment changes, life changes with it. If there are sudden changes, then life forms can't cope with it and then die away. Those that survive, they continue on.
3.8 billion years ago, a third generation of life could have thrived on the surface of Mars, evolved from a handful of its predecessors to make it through Mars's super winters. It's the toughest Martian life yet. But as the super winters end, the challenges for life on Mars are set to get worse. Another extinction level event is on the way. Mars' atmosphere is being ripped away.
Hello.
This one, the killer punch that wipes out the Martians for good.
You playing your game?
Imagine Mars 3.8 billion years ago.
And doing a live stream for it, showing people the paint jobs I'm doing for my vehicles.
Those motherfuckers slapped my fucking car. Now I gotta go through a whole complete run around to get it unlocked. So it wasn't a greatest day for me. Betcha my sugar is about 250. Don't have minutes on my phone, but I can call on Facebook and crap like that.
And I know Tracy hasn't done his yet, probably because he hasn't been able to.
Right now I'm in the red. Saying I need to charge my phone. Just turn your camera off to save battery life. That's what it says at the bottom of my screen.
Guess how many subscribers I have now? I have a total of 14.
Yeah. I'm real close to $300 on one game.
What game?
I play games that where you can get money from.
Oh, you're a game tester?
Yeah. It goes to my PayPal. I collect these balls and it adds money.
Yeah, and some of my friends are telling me that Dragon Age Vanguard is no good.
I just called to see what you were up to.
Oh, just doing videos to add to my roster that people can watch. Currently, right now, I'm trying to waiting for Assassin's Creed 3 to finish installing.
Hey, can you like say hello to your brother?
She hardly cares about me anymore.
Okay? Yeah. Okay. Come over here.
Or at least it feels like it. Sometimes.
I know. Because it's been on charge all day. Do everything. People are happy. You're plugged into the wall.
Give me a minute, I'll call you back, Erica.
Okay. Okay, alright. Okay, I love you. Love you, RJ. Okay, I love you.
Yeah, I've been trying to get a hold of you the past few days.
Yeah, I've just been tired. I'm still tired, but at least I'm trying to stay up so I sleep tonight instead of... What have you been doing?
Well, I cleaned up my area a little bit today. So there was a bag and a pizza box I had to throw away.
You had pizza?
Yeah, on Monday. Monday, me and my roommate bought me and him some pizza from Marco's.
What'd you have on it?
Sausage and pepperoni.
Ooh, yummy. Extra cheese?
No, just regular cheese.
Huh? I like the extra cheese when you go to bite on it and you pull it each way, that cheese just goes meow.
Yeah, that's what it did for mine.
Oh, okay. Cool. The end of the month they start taking this out and they're going to put a permanent one in my arm so it's not up on my neck anymore, which I would like.
So what's that?
It's for dialysis because my kidneys aren't working right. It sucks. If the doctor tells you to do something, I'd listen because otherwise that's why I ended up with this dialysis crap. Because I didn't listen.
Yeah, and my doctor don't like me having large amounts of regular soda.
Yeah, I'm only allowed with dialysis. I can only have 32 ounces of liquids a day. It's like 3 cans of soda and that's it. So in the morning.
Did you know how much are in those 20-ounce bottles?
2 of them would be too much. That would be 40. 8 ounces to over, which you're allowed in a day.
She'll allow me to have one of those a day.
Yeah. That's like these little cans. I can have 2 plus a cup of coffee. That's it.
But don't tell my doctor I found a loophole.
One loophole.
Drink a little till I put in the fridge, drink some more after that to bring the sugar down. Then drink some more soda. There's your loophole. Uncle Manuel's still in jail?
Who? Uncle Manuel.
Yeah, how's he doing?
What Uncle Manuel? Hello? You talking about your Uncle Angel?
Grandpa or whatever.
Oh, Grandpa Manuel. I don't know. I don't talk to him. I haven't talked to him in a long, long, long time. That's what she's scared of me. Have they had their teacher? No, I got it.
Oh.
Okay, that's it. Oh, well, let me try this. Let me try this. Hey, no more. Oh, what are you doing? Watching a game or a movie?
On my PC or PS4?
I don't know. What are you watching?
On my PC, I'm watching How the Universe Works. I'm on Season 5, Episode 6. It used to start at Season 4.
Yeah. Pretty good stuff.
I know an app named Vivid has this show, and it has from Season 1 all the way up to Season 12.
Well, okay. Ever since, well, when I first got sick up to now, I've gone from 250 down to 12.
That's good. I'm slowly losing the weight.
Oh, Lordy.
Because I'm on one of those once a weekly diabetes injections.
That's helping.
Yeah. I get once a week, every week.
Okay, Grandma's gonna go grab something to eat. Well, first I'm gonna go to the bathroom, then I'm gonna grab something. And then I think I'll be ready for bed. I've been up since 3 o'clock this morning.
Can I get your opinion on something?
Uh-huh.
What do you think of this paint job here?
Ooh. I like that.
It only costs $2 $29.23.
That is cool.
Because there's the price for it.
Well, it looks like you got the price. You got the money to do it.
Yeah, I definitely got the money to do it.
I think that is cool. I like doing that one. Is that the one you like the most?
Yeah, I just want to get your opinion on it.
Oh yeah, that's sharp.
I got a lot of views on my YouTube channel, and I got a total of 14 subscribers so far. If I can get to like 15 to 18 on subscribers on my phone, then I can start doing lives on my phone instead of my computer.
Grandma loves you, baby. I'm gonna get my shit done.
Okay.
I love you.
How's Wiggles?
Oh, she's back there feeding her face. She just got a treat from home potty. See her? See her? That's her right here. The little white with the black ears.
Did she give you any troubles going out?
No. She'll sit and drag your nuts go when she's got to go. She don't like her butt getting whacked when she don't. See, I'm losing my double chin. Well, I got some little bird flap now. Anyway, I'm gonna get busy. I love you.
And I want to show you something real quick before you hang up.
Oh wow. That is cool.
This only costed me $9.46.
Not bad, it's nice looking. Still waiting to hear I love you.
Love you.
Too much every day long.
Jackie, I found cheese bell. Very good one. Please put Jade on the phone. It's for you. Hello? No Wi-Fi find yourself. No Wi-Fi find yourself. No Wi-Fi find yourself. No. Can't break free. Blasted cheese spell. Shandu. Back so soon. What? No talismans. Hey.
Look like you're tired.
We used to wake up all night and then all day the next day.
I would be tired too.
But how are you?
I'm doing okay.
Yeah, because even I agree with my mom that them blocking your card off is bullshit.
I wish something like that would happen to somebody else.
And it'd be even more funny if they deserved it.
Oh, if I find out some whores took my fucking money off my card, I'm gonna be fucking pissed. Because that's why they said they closed my account.
I swear, some people just don't know how to keep their hands off of shit.
I'll find out who it is. I'm pressing charges. Oh, I'm doing right fast who it is.
That hoe don't know what she just opened.
She just opened a can of whoop ass.
So you know what I'd be saying to her fucking pedophile? I'd be like, ha ha ha, that's right. I backed in your car, nigga. What you gonna do? What you gonna do?
She's the only one I can think of could have fucking done it. The only fucking one. Didn't have this problem last month. They just froze my card so nobody could get in it. Now, I have this fucking problem. Oh, let me let you go, RJ. 'Cause I don't know what to do. 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 I don't know because I'm trying to charge my phone.
Well, she must have severely want a criminal record.
Someone does.
Because I'm sorry, but stealing money from someone else, that's a charge, homeboy.
Yeah, it is. From what your mom described it to me, someone tried to use it. That's why they froze it.
I'm sorry, that's not the charge, that's grand theft.
Yeah. Some fucking boys don't know what's different.
Well, they better pray to God that me and Tracy don't find them. Because they won't be leaving this guy's green earth and set the body bag.
Right. They're going to be down and kick his little ass, too. Whoops. Disney, did you get that picture? Yeah. What did you think? Handsome little boy. I said, handsome little boy. I'm talking to your other son. Well, you need to be home for some Christmas dinner. I need to hang up with you. I'll call you back later.
Alright.